straight on. Can we have some apologies, please, Louise?
Thank you, Chairman. We received apologies from Councillors Dudley Hughes, Jill Mercer, Harriet Pentland, Jeff Shacklock and Robin Underwood. And Peter Wathen.
Thank you very much. Item 2 is the minutes of the last meeting. I hope you've read them and they're all okay. Could you raise your hands if they're okay? Thank you. That's fast. They're signed. Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest and informal site visits. So we'll take declarations of interest first. Barbara.
Application 17/02559/FUL. I'm advised I have a potential bias on that application. I received sponsorship for a mayoral function, which I held at the beginning of February.
Thank you. Any others? No. Therefore, can we have informal site visits? None. Number 4, questions from members? None. Item 5 is a Section 106 report, which I guess Rishi is going to take us through.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, members will note that I've merged the Section 106 and delegations updates, so just the one report with the 2 appendices. On the Section 106, no changes there, no extensions of time, and similarly on the delegations to the head of service, no changes to that table either. Thank you, Chair.
Any questions or statements? No? Then we'll take those as read. Thank you, Ruth. Which takes us on to the applications for tonight at agenda item 6, and we start with page 2, which is the application in Thrapston, and Carolyn's going to take us through that one.
Thank you, Chair. This is a reserve matters application seeking approval for the scale, appearance, landscaping and layout for 75 dwellings. Outline planning permission was granted for up to 75 dwellings in April 2016 and also included the approval of the access to the site. 25% of the dwellings would be affordable housing in accordance with Section 106. This equates to 19 of the units. Of these 19 units, only 7 would comply with the national space standards for room sizes. The other 12 would comply with Homes England standards and are only marginally below the national space standards. This has been reviewed by an independent viability consultant, and he has concluded that this is acceptable, and increasing the room sizes of the 12 dwellings would render the scheme unviable. It should also be noted that the outline application predates the national space standards adoption. There would be a mixture of 1, 2, 3 and 4 bedroom properties across the site, as well as a mixture of bungalows, flats, 2-storey properties and 2.5-storey properties. Since the original submission, the application has been the subject of a number of amendments to try and address concerns which have been raised. The applicant has been very amenable, and where changes could be made, applied them. Some of the changes that have taken place are the repositioning and altering the design of properties to reduce the impact on neighbouring amenity, for example adding hipped roofs and moving properties away, replacing garages with carports to allow for more off-road parking, the removal of trees within rear gardens to address neighbours' concerns, additional landscaping in public areas, the relocation of bin collection points to address the concerns of the Council's Waste Management Officer, the removal of all rear parking courts, and the creation of footpath links. Highways have objected to the application on the grounds that insufficient parking has been provided across the site when measured against their parking standards. They are concerned that residents will not use their parking spaces and will park on the road where there are insufficient visitor spaces. This could lead to problems with waste collection and emergency vehicles. When considered against highway standards, there is sufficient car parking for the properties, with a slight surplus of 2 spaces. but there is a shortage of 13 visitor spaces, so an overall deficit of 11. Highways parking standards have not been formally adopted by East Northants Council, but are a material consideration, and officers have chosen to take a balanced view and are of the opinion that a deficiency of 11 visitor spaces would not justify a reason for refusal. In reality, the linear access road to the south of the site is wide enough, long enough, and is likely to be used for on-street parking, which would accommodate this deficiency. An independent viability consultant has confirmed that by removing any of the dwellings, allowing for these required parking spaces would render the scheme unviable. The applicant has amended the parking layout on many occasions to try and address highways concerns, and the current proposal has the maximum amount of parking that can be accommodated. Therefore, officers have taken the balanced view that in this instance there would be sufficient parking to serve the development. A number of objections have been received from neighbours about the close proximity of the development and the height of some of the proposed dwellings. Neighbours are concerned about the impacts that the proposal would have on them. Officers agree that the proposal would have an impact on the occupiers of some of these properties on Oakley's Rise and Ash Court. However, an assessment has to be made as to whether this impact would be a detrimental one. Members will have read the officer's assessment of the impact within the committee report and on the update sheet, and will note that officers are of the view that the impact is very finely balanced, but the distances from neighbouring properties and the positioning and orientation of the proposed dwellings, as well as the existing dwellings, would be enough to prevent any undue harm. The proposed landscaping has been assessed as acceptable by the Senior Tree and Landscape Officer, subject to a condition for a method statement for the protection of any off-site trees. The appearance has also been assessed as acceptable, subject to the lighting details being agreed by Northamptonshire Police at a later condition stage. As way of a verbal update, further comments have been received from neighbours that aren't included on the update sheet, but all of the concerns have been addressed on the update sheet and within the committee report, so it's not necessary for me to summarise those to you now. Overall, officers have taken on board that this could be seen as an overdevelopment of the site, given Highways' objections on parking, the room sizes of some of the affordable units, the close proximity to neighbouring properties, and the size of the proposed gardens on some of the plots. However, the application has been supported by a viability assessment, which demonstrates that any material amendments to the scheme to address these concerns would render the scheme unviable. These matters individually would not be sufficient to recommend refusal, and therefore a finely balanced decision has been made to recommend approval, subject to the conditions as set out in the committee report and on the update sheet. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. We have a speaker, Mrs. Hodgson. I don't think she's here, is she? No. So we don't have a speaker on this one. Gone? Yes, do yes. But we do have the agent. I nearly forgot you there, didn't I? Simon Copson.
Thank you, Joe. Some of this is a repeat of what Carolyn has just said, so apologies if you've heard it before this evening. The scheme in front of you is the final piece in the jigsaw that is the THR5 allocation of the rural North End or Thampston and Thampston plan for 650 dwellings. The site received outline consent in 2016 for 75 dwellings. This number of dwellings was set prior to the introduction of the North-Northants Joint Core Strategy that now requires dwellings to comply with national space standards and before the introduction of counter-highway standards that require larger garages, wider roads and additional visitors parking. We've tried very hard to accommodate all of these latest requirements, but as the number of plots was set under the previous standards, some compromises have been necessary. Although 12 of the affordable dwellings are slightly under the national space standards, they are still HQI compliant, as per the provision on Phase 2. The remaining affordable provision and private dwellings all fully comply with the national space standards. In terms of highway proposals on the original master plan. As the committee may be aware, Orbit is a preferred housing partner of East Northamptonshire Council. Although this is a speculative development, Orbit operates in a different way to PLC house builders, as any profit that is generated from private developments such as this is reinvested in the main business of providing affordable housing. The note in front of you is a good resolution of the various factors that come together and need to be resolved to produce a deliverable, viable scheme. I urge the committee to approve the scheme as recommended by officers.
Thank you, Mr. Copson. We now move to the ward member. Alex, what do you reckon?
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do the site visit last week, but I have looked at the plans and looked at the proposals. It does sound like a very overdeveloped site, looking at what's available and speaking to fellow members. It does create some problems with traffic, certainly on parking. I think the minimum number of visitor parkings will be an issue. As the Speaker said, this was before the MPC or the requirements were for that level of parking. One of the issues I suppose we've got is that we granted planning or indicative planning permission for it in 2016 for up to 75 dwellings. They've gone for the full 75 dwellings, which does create that cramped conditions. It's not going to be an easy choice. It's I'm struggling to find some really valid reasons to refuse it, but I'd like to hear from the members who did go on the site visit to get their opinions.
Thank you, Alex. Andy?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Smith. It's a very cramped site, and I would like to correct the Speaker's one of his comments. He said we did not grant planning consent for 75 dwellings. We granted planning consent for up to 75 dwellings. That doesn't mean say you have to put the full 75 in. The parking provision is actually a lot worse than has been suggested, because in many places, I've counted 16 so far, there are tandem parking, and almost invariably you end up with only one car going into two spaces. In some places there's triple parking, one behind another behind another, and there's no way you're actually going to get three people parking one behind the other and using it practically on an everyday basis. So the actual amount of practical parking space is a lot less than the numbers I've given here. If I had been asked, I would have suggested that a better solution would have been to organise a deed of variation in consultation with the council to reduce by a couple the number of affordable properties, which would increase the profitability of the site, therefore viability should do, because you should be making a loss on an affordable house. If you're not, then it's not affordable. So it should increase the profitability, and it should provide more space for elsewhere. That's how I would have handled it, although this is way too late for that, I'm afraid. It does strike you when you visit the site as very, very cramped.
Thank you. Helen?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I also went on the site visit, and I totally agree with Councillor Mercer. I mean, although we only saw an open piece of land, when we visited one of the neighbouring properties and stood and saw how close the development was going to be, we were absolutely gobsmacked, to say the least. One of the issues I have is about the viability. I mean, this is part and parcel of a larger development. Surely viability should have been looked at across the whole development, not just this one plot. And having, as Councillor Mercer said, you know, the planning permission was for up to 75 houses. You know, when you're looking at development, you look at costs involved in developing the whole of the site, I would have thought. So the viability issue doesn't sit very well with me. I also have concerns about the affordable housing being in one place. You know, how that works
know where you're coming from, Councillor Mercer. What I'd say is perhaps on a much larger side. It's called pepper potting. You sort of spread it about, but 75 isn't a huge number in the grand scheme of things. So that's why it's restricted to one part of the site, because it would be difficult from a management point of view to do that pepper potting on a smaller site. But you do get it on much larger sites. I would agree. This application is one part of it, yeah. But you're talking about the whole allocation. It wasn't one application.
If you look at it from what we gave outline consent for, which was the whole lot, then that is one small part of it.
This is a separate plot. So we didn't grant outline for the whole Thrapston South allocation. It was split into 3 from memory. Yeah. So it's 3 distinct housing sites.
Wish to have a comment? If not, Alex, it's back to you, please, for a proposal.
Thank you, Chair. Listening to the 2 councillors, members who did the site visits, I would probably go for refusal based on lots of overdevelopment and highways blocking or highways objecting based on space, on parking restrictions, parking provisions, and on proximity to the neighbours. I'm still a little bit unsure whether that's the right way to go. And the reason I say that is it's a development that we've already given consent to. It's not exceeding the limits, it's not exceeding the guidelines that were in force at the time.
Up to 75 units.
Yeah.
You don't have to build. Of course, the developers going to, aren't they? You don't have to build something.
I will go with the 2 councillors that have sort of raised their points, and I will propose that we reject and refuse this application.
Those 2 grounds that you suggest.
On the 2 grounds, space and overdevelopment of parks and highways.
Thank you, Chair. I will agree with it and would be happy to second that. I would like the officers to possibly give us the best wording that they can provide for the reasons of refusal from Councillor Smith, because this is a marginal one, so we want the experts to give us the best shot.
Councillor Mercer, are you suggesting delegated to Head of Planning Services, or?
I would like to suggest that because
Yeah.
the best result comes from giving it to the best people.
Can I suggest to myself as opposed to the Head of Planning Services, just because he's not here tonight, in conjunction with the Chair and Vice Chair and Ward Member?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helen?
Did we need to look at the JCS, the spatial standards as well, whether that is an objection?
Yeah, if you want to include that as part of the refusal reason, then if you specify that, then policy 30, yeah.
Right. So we've had a proposer and a seconder for refusal of the application on those 3 grounds. Can I have a vote supporting that proposal, please? Or not, as the case may be. Anyone against that proposal? Anyone abstaining? That's it. What's the result, please?
Thank you, Chairman. That's 8 votes for the proposal and 1 against, so the motion has been carried.
Thank you. Thank you, members. Let's move on to the second application on page 16. Dean, you're on for this one, aren't you?
Thank you, Chair. This application relates to part of the Rushton Lakes development, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. This is not the layout we're looking at this evening. This is the previously approved layout, which included the relocation of the leisure building. Let's just check this works. So you've got the A45 roundabout entrance like so, and the leisure building here, the sort of bulkier goods ones under construction here, and the area in question we're looking at tonight, with my wobbly hand, I've circled just here. It was previously agreed as 3 large units. So this application has changed those 3 large units as previously approved, and here we are just here, to 12 A1 retail units and 1 A3 sort of restaurant cafe unit, and they're significantly smaller than what were approved on that particular part of the site last time. Just to zoom that in slightly, so here you have the retail units here, the restaurant cafe unit here, and the hard and soft landscaping here. There's also proposed amendments to parts of the car park, not a great deal of it, but small sections of it. There's been a reduction in floor space when compared with the previously approved scheme, of around 2,850 square metres. It's over half reduction compared to last time. Just to look at some images, the one we took on site weren't the best we're looking at, so we've got some nice colourful ones for you to look at. The applicant sent those through this afternoon, so thank you for those. So these are the elevations for the retail units and for the restaurants, and then that's just a perspective looking from the north sort of side of the car park back towards the building. So you've got the restaurant here, the units here. We did our site visit from roughly there. That's where Card Factory is, just there. Okay, so in principle, there's no issue with retail going here because that's widely accepted. But the fact these are smaller units has raised some concerns. We've had objections and or concerns raised from Kettering, Wellingborough, Rushden, Irvingborough and Higham Ferrers councils in this regard on their retail impact. We've engaged a retail consultant to look at the application, and their conclusion was, on balance, it would be acceptable, but so long as there's mitigation in place. And if you look at page 30 of the report, you'll see we have condition 7, which is a no poach condition. Now we've used this elsewhere on the development, not on all of it, but on other parts of it. It had previously just extended to Wellingborough, but on this occasion the consultant thought it was prudent to include Rushden and Kettering as part of that as well. Now, if I can now draw your attention to the update sheet, I apologise, there's quite a lot of updates here, so rather than expect you to read them all, I'll try and whiz through the most relevant ones. So we start with page 6. It looks like it's in grey because it was originally in blue. Page 6, we had a response from the head of economic and commercial development. That's Greg McDonald from within the council. And he's generally supportive of the application, again subject to mitigation. And I'll draw your attention to condition 7, which you've just looked at, the no poach condition, and condition 10, which is about the signage strategy, which is a condition effectively carried over from the previous permission for the wider scheme. Further down page 6, we've had an update from our climate consultant, which looks to tweak the BREEAM condition from 1 condition to 2. I've had further discussions with the applicant this afternoon, and there still seems to be a bit of work and perhaps a bit of negotiation on how that condition or conditions are to be worded. So as I move further through this, I'll come to a slightly revised recommendation, but I'll come back to that. If we move on to page 7, we've had comments from LXB's planning agent, and they've supplied a supplementary where we've had, say again, sorry? 15, we're basically looking to reimpose a condition that we put on the old permission. So there's no, I haven't intended to speak about that one because there's nothing particularly prudent on that. And similarly with 19, because that's covered as well. Condition 20 with the BREEAM, that's where the applicant is asking if we can have some further discussions on the wording of that condition. So my intention is, and I'll come to the end, is to slightly revise our recommendation to allow for that condition, or conditions as it may be, to be further discussed before permission's issued, if that's what you decide to do. There were also a fair few member queries from the site visit, which I put back to the applicant and their agents to come up with answers to. And at the bottom of page 9, you'll see subheading there, phasing of unavailability of the service road, because there was concern that it might not be ready in time. They've said it'll be ready by Christmas of this year, before Garden Square development is constructed, and it will be available for public use. So you would be able to come in from the A45 roundabout, round the back to bypass the car park and vice versa. On to page 10. On the other side of the coin, we've got potential for asking for higher fares and earthly to be included in no merge conditions. We've got that on one side, and the applicant trying to slacken the work on the other side, so we're kind of pulling both directions on this one. And without any evidence to the contrary, at this stage we might need to keep with our original recommendation, because that's based on what our retail consultant has advised us to do. Extra staff car parking. Physically, I think there's space to do that, but the applicant doesn't seem particularly minded to do that, because technically it's not needed, and the highways have said there's sufficient parking, particularly given that these are smaller units with generally a smaller draw. So, although it could happen if the developer was minded to do that, and that might be an option, but they don't feel it's necessary at this stage. And the final one on page 10 was whether it's going to be one or two-way traffic, because it was a bit ambiguous from the plans when we were stood there. So I hope you can see this all right, because it's a bit, from my angle, it's a bit grainy, but the section which goes past Card Factory and so on would remain as one way up to this point, and then from here westwards would become two-way. That's consistent with the layout that was agreed on the previous application, which I'll just flick back to. It's hard to see at that scale, I guess, but the layout was largely the same. So it was intended to be two-way previously, and that's the same case again now. There's been other correspondence as well. Councillor Maxwell has supplied us with some information, and she's proposing deferment of the application over to some staff parking concerns, which have been raised with me a couple of times now. And on to page 11, this came through late yesterday, early today, correspondence from the Rushden Town Partnership, and they're concerned about the retail impact as well, and they're also concerned about that
Council has not objected to this application, we have concerns about the impact the revised smaller units will have on Rushden High Street. Due to the nature of the High Street, the retail units are relatively small, and therefore we consider this revised application may have a detrimental impact on our existing shops and also on the High Street's future ability to attract smaller retailers. We consider some mitigation may be necessary to offset potential reduced footfall in the High Street and also the appetite of smaller retailers to locate to Rushden Lakes rather than Rushden High Street. Our main concern about this application is the provision of staff parking. We would not like to see the same parking problems experienced on the first phase of the development. This caused considerable upset to employees, local residents and neighbouring existing businesses. We would consider that if this application is granted, adequate parking must be provided on site for employees who require it. Thank you.
Thank you. The second speaker is Councillor Dorothy Maxwell, who's one of the ward councillors.
Good evening, Chair, Councillors and Officers. With regards to this application of Rushden Lakes, Garden Square, which is in my ward, namely Spencer Ward, I have the following concern. Changing these units into 13 units, class A1 and A3, will result in just 16 spaces for staff parking. This means 2 spaces per unit, which clearly is not enough. In the survey that I carried out in November 2017 with all the staff at Rushden Lakes, parking is still an issue. LXB say this is our fault because 5 years ago we did not consider staff parking. We now have an opportunity to ensure that there are more staff parking for them, which is a designated area for them, which would help staff who work long hours over the 5 hours allowed. In 6.21, the officer report states they have not made it clear where staff are supposed to park, and this is true. Therefore, I ask you to consider parking for staff and defer this application until it includes more staff parking. We have an opportunity to put the matter right and not make mistakes that we've made in the past application. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And the third speaker is Matthew Sherwood, who is the agent.
Thank you, Chair. We've reviewed the addendum report and thank officers for taking into consideration our comments on the original committee report. I think there were sort of 2
at the front there you've got parent-child parking, and obviously a lot of people visiting. How are they going to get their supplies to that restaurant?
Officer?
If I could come back on 2 points, if that's all right. On the servicing, I imagine it would be similar to what happens to the restaurants in the north nearer to the lake, where there will actually have to be trucks in or around the car park at certain times of day. But I would hope that management of the timing of that would be appropriately dealt with. The other issue I'd come back on is Councillor Mercer's point on the staff car parking, where I don't think necessarily we need a new condition on that. We could probably just amend the existing one, which has the approved plans, so long as the applicant is willing to enter into dialogue to do that as part of the delegation on the BREEAM and the no poach condition. That's what ends up happening. We could do the same on the list of approved drawings. We just substitute the layout plan. Basically, we'd get a new version of that showing the extra staff car parking. That would depend obviously on dialogue with the applicant, and we can only try. If they're amenable to doing it, that would be a way of doing it as well, rather than adding an extra condition.
I'd be very happy with that, and given that we've got an email from the director of that, if there's any problem with that, they would be happy with that. I was convinced they wouldn't have sent an email offering it otherwise. As regards the delivery to the restaurant, I've seen them delivering to the existing restaurants in Rushden Lakes, and they park up alongside it with a delivery van, normal size of a delivery van, not HGV, and they take out semi-prepared meals, take them straight into the restaurants. It takes about 5 minutes, and they drive off. And they typically do it during the day, but at off-peak times, because I watch them doing it. I'm happy with the amendments suggested by Dean, and with that, I would like to recommend something else. Sorry, I didn't realise there was another.
Yes.
No problem. It's just a quick word. Obviously, I support Councillor Mercer, and I'm very pleased that the no poach condition will refer to our market towns on the periphery of Rushden Lakes. I think that is very, very welcome, and I wholeheartedly support it.
Thank you. Okay, so a proposal then, please, Andy.
I'd like to propose that we grant this with the wording of the conditions that we've discussed deferred for the head of planning services, or in his absence, the planning service, the development control
Those
manager.
are conditions on the staff parking
Staff parking, BREEAM,
and on the poaching,
no poaching,
including
hire.
2 extra towns and catering out.
Yes, with those,
We're all clear of that, members.
yeah, those 3 conditions are deferred for final wording. But subject to that, I recommend that we are minded to grant this.
We will grant. Opposed? Seconded? Those in favour? Nobody against, can't be, because it's all in favour. Thank you, that's accepted. I think it's the first site visit I've been on that I haven't even been able to see the site. That's the way it goes. So, right, page 34. Wayne, you're nearly on.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, you are on.
I'm on, yeah. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is the third version of this scheme. The first application was withdrawn, and the second application, as you know, was refused at this committee. And this is the third version. Each time the number of houses has come down. So we started with 14, we had 13 last time, and now we've got 12. The reason the last application was withdrawn because councillors felt it was an overdevelopment of the site, and they were concerned about the tandem parking that was part of it. So we've lost one more house this time. There was in the last scheme, there was a house in the top left-hand corner where that big parking area is now. So we've lost that. That was a detached house. We've lost that. But as a result, we've been able to have a scheme that's got no tandem parking in it at all. Each of the units, apart from there's a one-bed flat which has got one parking space. Everybody else has got 2 parking spaces. They're all side by side now. All of the aspects of the scheme relating to the retention of the old building, they're all the same. They're not affected by this. It's just essentially changing the parking arrangements
Good evening, members, officers. My name is Sam Dix. I'm a Chartered Town Planner from Smith Jenkins Planning. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and also on behalf of my director, Jennifer Smith, whom I'm aware addressed your meeting back in November, I believe, when you refused the 13-unit scheme, as Wayne has just referred to. At the risk of a degree of repetition in terms of what your officer just told you, the application before you now is the third iteration of a development on this site. It's been reduced from 14 units to start with down to 13 and now to 12. In November, the 13 units scheme that you refused was done on the basis of overdevelopment, with a specific concern in respect of tandem parking, which you regarded as a symptom of overdevelopment. The decision notice that was issued by your council was quite unusual in the fact that it included informative advising the applicant that the committee would consider a scheme for fewer units and reduced tandem parking. As I say, that's quite an unusual approach, I think, certainly in our experience, to put an informative on a decision notice in that regard, but it's certainly very proactive on your behalf, and it's certainly very much welcomed by our client, the applicant, who has heeded your advice. I'm pleased to say that the scheme that's before you now includes no tandem parking whatsoever, so it's not just a reduced amount, it is completely eliminated from the scheme, and I hope you'll be able to agree with your officer's recommendation that all outstanding matters have been overcome. The site remains a highly sustainable location for development, accords with the relevant planning policies. As I say, the design has been amended to specifically address your concerns, and other than the removal of that unit and the rearrangement of the parking configuration, it remains essentially the same as earlier applications. I therefore trust that planning permission may duly be granted.
Thank you. No other speakers. So, Barbara, your ward, I think.
It is, Chairman. Apologies, I should have mentioned that I was present. I have a declaration of interest that I was present at the Rushden Town Council planning consultative meeting when this was discussed, but my opinion wasn't formed at that time. Thank you. I'm very pleased to note the changes that have been made to this scheme. The developer has listened to our comments re the tandem parking and has come back with a much more acceptable scheme. I believe this scheme is now the best that can be achieved while still retaining the heritage asset of the former printworks. Unless my colleagues have any comments to make, then I would be happy to propose acceptance of the application.
Thank you. Andy?
Thank you, Chair. I would fully concur with Councillor Jenny's comments, but I'll go a bit further than that, and I would say this is an exemplar planning site where there has been excellent cooperation between developer, planner and the authority to produce an acceptable outcome, and I hope that the same system works just as well elsewhere.
Good. Yes. Roger.
Chairman, not commenting on the scheme as such, as the ward members and Rushden Town Council are happy, then fine, but I'm just wondering about the wording, and if we ought to look at it on the very page 34, where it refers to this as a major planning proposal. We were told earlier tonight that one for 75 dwellings was not a major one, and I'm wondering if we should delete those words altogether. If it's outside our scheme of delegation, that is fine, and I thought that would do, but to me, how you can have 75 dwellings that is not a major one, and then we refer to this as a major planning.
Maybe it's major in that area. Do we have any thoughts on that, officers? Wayne?
I mean, anything to 10 houses or above is what's called a major planning application in the terms.
Okay.
It doesn't rest easy with me, Chairman. It does say
Gotcha.
one for 75 can't
Yeah, I
be a
know,
major
I know.
one, and yet this one's one can.
Anyone else wish to comment? have a vote in favour of the proposal? Anyone against? That's carried. And may I say at this point, Wayne, you've done a magnificent job on that. I know you've taken it back 2 or 3 times, but you've worked hard on that and you've got the right proposal out at the end of the day. That's great. Right. The last proposal for tonight on page 47 is Higham Ferrers. Those who went on the site visit would understand if I said it was the Smelly Farm. And I think, Dean, are you doing this one, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair. This application is for the demolition of some existing agricultural buildings, which are largely in this area of the site here, and to convert the stone buildings, which are this one here and this one here, to create a 4-bedroom house and B1 offices of 144 square metres. Access would be from the existing access onto Newton Road, which I think was a point of discussion while we were on the site, dodging lorries. That's the proposed elevation for the offices. It's largely just conversion with this extension area to the rear for a meeting room, and then that's for the proposals for the house. I haven't got the first floor plans, but it's a 4-bedroom house. So the application site is an open countryside. In probably more distant future, I guess, it could be adjacent to the Rushden East Sustainable Urban Extension. It's literally the next field along. As part of the consideration of the application, it was considered that this would result in visual benefits, this proposal, and with protection of non-designated assets. The buildings are in reasonable condition, but not the best, and this will secure their long-term future whilst getting rid of the ones that aren't so nice to look at. There are no amenity issues. There is a potential fallback position whereby if planning permission isn't granted, the developer does have another option to go through the prior approval process, Class Q for a dwelling and Class R for an office. There'll still be things to consider as part of those, but that is another avenue they could choose to go down. So it could potentially be permitted development. I'm not saying that it is, but it could be. There are concerns which were raised on the site visit as well about the visibility from the access because of the proximity to the corner. It's the existing access which is to be used. That's what's being put on the table. If I can draw your attention to the update sheet, I promise it's not as long as the last ones I made you read through. It's a very short one at the bottom of page 11. It was quite clear from the site visit that members thought that maybe shifting the access a bit further to the west would improve the visibility probably to an acceptable level. So I did put that point to the applicant's agent in writing. They've not come back in writing at all, but if they are speaking tonight, they might want to try and address that point in their speech. But that aside, the recommendation is to approve the application subject to the conditions listed in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dean. We have the final speaker tonight, which is Matthew Taylor, who is the agent.
Chairman, good evening. I'm here this evening to speak in support of your officer's recommendation for approval for the proposed development at Slater's Lodge. I understand from the member's site visit that some concerns were raised about the access to the site, and I hope to try and allay any concerns and deal with any questions you may have on that matter. The proposed development has been well considered over a prolonged period to consider the potential uses of the site and the retention of the existing buildings. The proposal provides a clear benefit in utilising a non-designated heritage asset that would otherwise fall into further disrepair. The proposed scheme not only retains the existing stone buildings, but would vastly improve their appearance and the setting around them. With regards to the proposed access, the comments from the Highway Authority are noted and have been considered fully by the applicant. However, the officer's report is correct that this must be balanced against both the potential fallback position as well as the clear benefits arising from the scheme. In respect to the fallback position, there are 2 elements to this. Firstly is the applicant's view, which is also shared by the case officer, that the buildings on the site could be converted under permitted development by virtue of classes Q and R. This could be up to 3 dwellings at the moment, but this is to change on the proposed scheme makes best use of the buildings, and in addition to this, the current plan application gives the council greater control over the development. In addition to this, the alternative fallback position is that the buildings and the site are returned to an agricultural use. This use would be unfettered and out of the control of the council and the highway authority, and would result in large slow vehicles continuing to use the existing access. The current proposal provides some enhancements which must not be forgotten. I understand that members discussed at the site visit the potential to provide an access in a different position. However, this is not possible. The applicant only has control over a finite amount of land of the road frontage, and moving the exact access point creates further issues in respect of the layout of the scheme and conflicts between the uses of the two different uses on the site. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, so Pam, you going to take us through this one?
Thank you, Chair. Newton Road in Hyme is a country road, but as members recognised on Friday morning's site visit, there's an awful lot of traffic uses it, including heavy lorries going up to the two commercial units at the top of Hyme Road, cars and lorries whizzing down there at quite considerable speed. I'd obviously welcome comments from other members, and I would say I've got no reservations at all about the conversion of the buildings, because I think that would improve the site, but the reservation is on the access. Now, as I understand it, the developers have been asked if there's any possibility of moving the access to the left, and I think I've just heard that no, it can't be done. It does give grave concern because there is a very severe bad bend to the right of the site, looking at it on there. In fact, it's a blind bend, and the way the traffic comes up and down there, it is extremely dangerous. I don't quite know where I stand on this one, to be honest. As I say, no reservations for the actual development, but the access I'm very concerned about, and I share the concerns both of the highways and of Hyme Town Council. So I would like to hear comments from anybody else who went on the site visit and other members.
Then you will, starting with Helen.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I did go on the site visits, and we did take a considerable amount of time walking up and down the road, looking at both ways to the property. Personally, I felt that where it was the best place, actually, because although there was a nasty bend on whichever right, left, north, south, whatever it is, this side of the picture. Is it east? Thank you very much. Okay, east of the picture, there were signs, traffic signs, saying that there was a sharp bend coming, so we did look at that. But on the other side, coming from the west, there was a hump which I felt could have caused even more problems. So I didn't have an issue. The issue I had was on the plans that we saw on site, there seemed to be an access point through the same place for agricultural vehicles, but I don't see that on that drawing. Can you just confirm whether there will be an agricultural access through that point there, as well as to both of the properties, please? Thank you.
I think what I showed you on site was actually the older plan, but I can't absolutely confirm either way on that. I probably need to check the plans to check whether that is the case, but this is the more up-to-date one from my understanding.
If I can come back on that, because obviously if you're talking about having cars and agricultural vehicles coming in, that could sort of change my view on it, really, because if it's purely big cars, then I can see that cars can come out of it at different speeds than an agricultural vehicle that leaves the premises a lot slower than a car. So I think that would be quite an important
understanding from the report and the drawings is that the agricultural use will still come in that entrance, but it goes off to the right hand side into the field where it shows that little funny bit, which will be the access to the fields. So it does say that there will still be usage by the farm vehicles, but this will only be in the autumn for doing getting the corn seeds into the fields, and then later on spraying and then harvesting, so it will be very limited anyway. And so I have no problems with this application, and I was quite prepared, and I'll see what happens, but I'm in favour of it as it is. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Barbara, next.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I did go on the site visit, and I saw the volume of traffic that was coming along the road and the speed with which it was travelling. I tend to agree with Councillor Howell that to move the access would create more problems than it was unlikely to solve any. My concern actually is the residential property. We're not given any information on that. Are we happy that it meets the space standards? And my other comment is the remoteness of that property. As we saw from the site visit, the lane is not one you can easily walk along. Certainly you wouldn't walk along it with small children, I don't think. Anyone occupying that property in a very remote location, their only access to facilities would be by car. And I'm just wondering whether, I know there are properties in very remote locations, but it does seem a difficult access to facilities by anything other than car.
Gotcha. I'm not sure the remoteness actually comes into planning consideration, but yes, there will be a few more cars along there, but it's only one house and an office, so there shouldn't be that many more perhaps. So, Andy, you were next.
Thank you, Chair. Before I make any statement, I'd like to ask the legal officer for some advice on the matter. It only just occurred to me that this may be relevant. About 25 years ago, I was driving along that road and had a near head-on crash, not far from that spot, very close there. It was so close that the door mirror was ripped off our car as the other vehicle went past at a closing speed of over 100 miles an hour. Does that mean I've got a prejudicial interest? Seriously, I'm asking the question. I'm not trying to crack a joke or anything.
Unless you consider that that's going to change or have a significant effect on your decision making, given the length of time that has passed, I wouldn't be concerned about it. But if you feel very strongly about that incident, that you're still concerned when you go to that area, that it comes back to your mind whenever you're in that area, then you might want to consider not taking part if you think it's going to cloud your judgment.
I'm not sure it clouded my judgment. It certainly got a flashback when I went there. From your description, it means I'm going to leave the room because I consider that to be an exceedingly dangerous road. I don't recognise it as the road that's been described by the other councillors.
Thank you, Andy. Made your opinion very clear. Anna.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I live in Higham, but obviously I didn't go on the site visit, so I am aware of the area. I would just like to, I'm probably out of order here, but Councillor Howell said that, she didn't have a great issue with this application, and if she knew that agricultural vehicles wouldn't be using this access, it would just be to the house and whatever, she would be more happy with it. Am I correct? Is that what you said? No, I'm trying to.
I think obviously from the drawing we can't see that there is agricultural use there.
Yeah.
It doesn't show it, so I just want a clarification really as to whether it would be agricultural use because you'd be increasing the volume of traffic coming through there from the house and the office and the agricultural vehicles.
Yes, right, okay, that's okay. I'm out of order, but when she did mention this, I did sort of look across to the gallery, and I must say the agent was shaking his head with regard to agricultural vehicles. I'm in favour of this anyway, but I thought I'd...
Okay, Anna, thank you. Any other comments? No? Back for a proposal then, please.
Right, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I've heard with interest and I welcome members' comments. I have got grave concerns about the entrance, but I think all things considered, regrettably, I'm going to have to say I'll accept the officer's recommendation and grant the application.
So that's a proposal and a seconder. Richard McGowan for a seconder. Those in favour? Those against? Can't be any, they're all in favour. That's carried. Thank you. Those are the applications for tonight. On the menu we have one item left, item 7 on the agenda, appeal decision monitoring report. And as I was saying to Head of Planning Services tonight, all these have been allowed, so the appeals have all been allowed, and we had this last time. I think there were 4 there which were allowed, so is anything happening we don't know?
No, not at all. What I would say is every report, or more or less every report we've brought to you over the last year, we've won them all, so you win some, you lose some, and they've all come at the end of the year. The stats are still okay. It's the majors I'd be bothered about, and we're pretty hot on those, so I have no particular concerns about these. They're fairly minor applications. The first 2 in particular, pretty subjective stuff, so no major concerns, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Barbara?
It's just a comment. Head of Planning is not here tonight. I noticed that 2 of these appeals were householder appeals. We were promised, probably going back 18 months now, some training on householder appeals, because they take only the, as I understand it, the report that goes through. It doesn't take any account of local ward members' comments. So we were, it's just a reminder, we were promised training